One of the interesting things that you have been compared a lot to Bill Watterson. Now that he has written the foreword to your collection, how did that come about?
Well, it's how the foreword come about.
Yeah.
We have a mutual friend who was, well, I haven't lost track, but we started keeping in touch off and on. Mm-hmm. I turned to our friend for some advice and sent him some of the strips. This was a couple of years back before it was syndicated. And I didn't know it, but he sent them on to Watterson, and Watterson enjoyed them. He also had sent a copy of my Richard's Poor Almanac book along. And this is sort of out of the blue. He sent this email saying, Watterson really enjoyed this, and this is what he said about it. And I thought, oh my golly, and we had the same syndicate. And, Watterson was keeping in touch with the syndicate too, off and on, with Lee Salem, who was president of the syndicate. And so he offered to write the foreword, which just, blew me away, because you think is, being, hand of God, come down, pat you on the head, say.
Pretty much it. It is.
Nice job there.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
You keep it up there, pal.
That's right. Don't let the ball drop now, Richard. All the pressure's on.
Yeah, well, at the same time, I think, on a bad day, I think, look at him and think, what do you see now?
Yeah. It's like, I hope he thinks this is funny. Yeah. What would Alice think of Calvin and vice versa?
Oh, I think they probably fight like cats and dogs.
Yeah.
And they're each self-absorbed, and they got this own, their own little world going. They probably bump up against each other and just, they would probably not get along too well at all.
It would be fun to see.
It would.
If Bill ever comes out of retirement, this is what we want to see. So now that you have a daily calendar, do you ever lay in bed at night and go, wow, I've made it? When will we see the Alice doll or PD action figure with a chew-off arm? I mean, these are the things we want to know. And how do you feel about your merchandising of your creations?
I don't know. I'm up to my one interview think is it taking it away from the strip, and the other end it's like I'd kind of like to play with it too if I was a kid. So it's I'm amenable to up to a certain point. Because it'd be kind of fun to see such a thing, but PD with a chewed off arm.
I think it'd be great.
Chewing off arm action.
Where do you get your sense of humor? I mean, do you have a favorite humorist or humorist that you really grew up admiring? Or
I don't know if I was never the funny kid in class. I was maybe the kid who was trying to be funny, but not always succeed.
Yeah.
I was never the class clown, but I mean, my dad has a very dry sense of humor. He's very stuff that makes him laugh is pretty much the stuff that makes me laugh. And my mom she could never tell a joke, but human behavior made her laugh. She had a belly laugh for that.
Yeah.
And she could not stop laughing if something struck her as funny. And she would have to leave the room sometimes. But so I get it from both my parents. But yeah, when I was a kid, I laughed at the same stuff that kids laughed at. Three Stooges and really stupid stuff, and Bugs Bunny and everything. I don't know, it changed over the years. I still like Mark Twain. I like S.J. Perelman, I like all Thurber and all the old New Yorker guys. And, comic strips. I love Pogo. I mean, my mom loved Pogo. She liked it for just the drawing, the characterization of the drawings.
Well, it's just beautiful.
It is, yeah. It's just the animation and the life and everything. I remember the first time I laughed at Pogo. I was in 5th grade. I suddenly got it. It's like a friend of mine had some Pogo books. We sat there laughing at him. I thought, this is funny. It's been in the newspaper every day of my life, and I've been missing it. So, before there was Peanuts, which was in the '60s, that was the comic strip. Obviously, it was like a public utility coming into your home every day, pretty much.
It was.
It was, yeah. And the Christmas special. I remember the first time I saw that. I remember that tree. The tree fell over the first time. This little Christmas tree. Yep. He said I killed it. My mom had to leave the room for that. I do that. I remember that vividly.
There've been more than one generation that's grown up on Peanuts.
It holds up. Yeah, it just holds up beautifully.
It still does.
Mm-hmm. It's still moving too. And Linus goes off on a little stage there.
Oh, it's just I love it. Those were the days.
Oh yeah.
Well, one of the things I read in an interview that I really enjoyed was that you said the hard things about ideas is not getting them, but knowing what to do with them. How do you get your ideas, and do they really come easy most of the time?
They kind of do, in that, I mean, you can stare off into space and just, whatever, or some little odd, dumb thing that happens, and you think, this is funny. Why is it funny? Or you recognize there's something about this that's, there's some kernel of humor in this, and the hard part is tearing it apart and figuring what's the little germ, the little, the hard little nut there that's, and how can I plant this little seed into the strip so that, what happens that makes this funny to the characters, who comes in? Is it Alice? Is she is she doing this? And somebody comes in, and because it's got like a certain, the character turnover within the strip is like, it's sort of like it starts with one and goes to the next, and then the third one comes in, and it's like, how do I form this into a workable strip where it's funny? And usually it's like its conversation goes dot 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 dot, then it's a little twist, and then something else funny, and then Petey comes in and like, something happens to him. So it's like, without being formulaic, you think, what is my formula for doing this?
Well, it seems like it comes pretty natural to you. I think that's one of the...
It kind of does. It surprised me in that, it doesn't always happen like that, but it's usually the terror of deadline. It's that, I'm like right up against, I've got 2 hours to think of a week's worth of strip, so it's better be happening right now. And so I sit down with a pile of copy paper and a pen, and I think, okay, this happens on Monday, this happens on Tuesday, this happens on Wednesday. I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's my 6 days. And then Sunday is something separate. But I have to turn in like a week's worth of roughs. And I think, this better be working now. So it's like, I kind of need that focus to holding my nose to the grindstone to really crank out that series of roughs there. That seems pretty universal too.
Universal. Well, you've said in a couple interviews that the one thing that you were going to work on is your procrastination.
Yeah.
So you really haven't, have you?
I've tried to. I've inched forward and slid back again. It's like, but my editor said, that certain creative types need that terror.
Yeah.
They need that, that, and he's understanding about it, and I think they've given the poor guy, they've given him most of the hard cases, the ones who turning him in, like Bill Heyman, who does Foxtrot,
mm-hmm.
and I know a couple of the ones who've given him fits, but he seems to have enough patience, and he's very forgiving and gentlemanly at the same time. He's like, we should be worrying about this.
So you're his special case now.
I guess, yeah. Although Bill Heyman's still turning him in at the last minute, even though he's only doing this Sunday.
that's well, it's the pressure that he needs.
It is. You need that. I can't get any. I'm not alone in this, but it's like I need that 11th hour. I'm thinking about it all 12 hours, but it's at 11. 59. It's like editor. One of my editors at the Post, Henry Allen, who's like a genius. He's a brilliant newspaperman. What was it he said? It's your moment of darkest despair. It's your deepest, most painful, panicky hour. You are 10 minutes from filing. You're 10 minutes away from turning something in, and it seems to be true of far too many people. Well, it's like if the world works like this, I'm surprised it works as well as it does.